Good afternoon. I'm Nerissa Sandy with WEFM's 3 p.m. news for today, Friday, the 5th of January, 2024. In the news, and first off on the local scene, leader of the opposition and representative for the Northern Grenadines, Dr. Godwin Friday, has described the plane crash off the Grenadine island of Bequia as a terrible tragedy. Speaking to WEFM News, Dr. Friday said he was well acquainted with the pilot for a very long time. The pilot and owner of the aircraft, Robert Sash, was killed yesterday after the small engine aircraft he piloted went down following takeoff around midday from the J.F. Mitchell Airport in Bequia. Here is Dr. Friday.
Bob Sachs, the pilot, I've known for a very long time. He's a member of the community here. This is it's something that nobody expected and nobody wished to see. There are 4 lives lost, 2 of them children, their father. It's heartbreaking for anyone, and anyone, as family and children, it's difficult to quite process because it's so sudden, and they come here on vacation and it has ended in tragedy. My heartfelt condolences, my sympathy.
That was leader of the main opposition New Democratic Party, Dr. Godwin Friday. Dr. Friday also commended the divers of Paget Farm Bequia and the SVG Coast Guard for the quick response in getting the bodies from the aircraft wreckage. All 4 persons on board, including a father and his 2 young daughters, 10 and 12 years respectively, were killed. News of the plane crash circulated yesterday after a video showed what seems to have been an object falling into the waters of the coast of Piti Nevis. Meanwhile, the SVG police force is giving full credit to efforts of fishermen and divers from the community of Bequia. In a release issued today, the police acknowledged that an error was made in the Thursday, 4th January 2024 release, captioned Tragic Plane Crash in Bequia. The police said it wishes to, quote, give full credit to the valiant efforts of the fishermen and divers from the Bequia community who collaborated with the SVG Coast Guard in the retrieval of the operation. That should be in the retrieval operation, end of quote. The bodies were recovered from the wreckage by the divers and handed over to the Coast Guard personnel at the scene. The release further stated that the SVG Police Force and the SVG Coast Guard Service value the partnership and collaboration of the members of the public in the execution of their duties. It also says that the selfless and brave act of the fishermen and divers are very much appreciated and fully supported by the authorities. In other news, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Rav Gonsalves, has responded to criticism over a photo with controversial Venezuelan map with Guyana's Essequibo. Gonsalves' response comes following a picture on social media capturing him alongside other officials, including Minister of Foreign Affairs, Kiesel Peters, posing with the papier-mâché map of Venezuela, which includes Guyana's Essequibo region. In a letter addressed to Guyana's President, Dr. Irfan Ali, and Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro yesterday, Thursday, the 4th of January, Dr. Gonsalves clarified that the photograph in question was taken in December of 2022 during an event commemorating the life and work of Simon Bolivar, the great liberator, at Villa, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Acknowledging the sensitivity of the issue, Gonsalves referred to the incident as a, quote, innocent inadvertence, unquote, on his part, as he explained that this inadvertence had been exploited by some. The photograph had been circulated on a Venezuelan Twitter account known for posting propaganda related to the Guyana-Venezuela border controversy. The Prime Minister, in his role as Community of Latin American and Caribbean States CELAC pro tempore president, played a crucial role in recent face-to-face talks between Guyana and Venezuela, which culminated with the Argyle Declaration. Both leaders are set to meet soon in Brazil for a second scheduled talks. Gonsalves revealed that following the circulation of the controversial photograph, he had discussed the matter with President Ali and Vice President Dr. Barrett Jagdeo, expressing hope that the issue had been laid to rest. In related news, opposition MP and representative for East Kingstown, Senator Fitzgerald Bramble, says the government is showing partiality in its role as head of CELAC. In a video posted on the party's Facebook page, Senator Bramble said the NDP is demanding an explanation from both the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Prime Minister Gonzalez, adding that the photograph is detrimental for the nation. Here now is Senator Bramble.
It demonstrates support of Venezuela's direct threat to Guyana's territorial integrity, sovereignty, and political independence. Not only does the New Democratic Party demand an explanation from Senator Keisal Peters, who should know far better than this, given her role as Foreign Affairs Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but also from Dr. Ralph Gonzalez in Parliament, who is showing clear bias in his role as President of CELAC and host of de-escalation talks. The New Democratic Party stands by the position of CARICOM and the global community in recognizing Essequibo as part of the territory of Guyana and recognizing the International Court of Justice as the forum for settling the matter permanently.
That was opposition MP and representative for East Kingstown, Senator Fitzgerald Bramble. Dr. Gonzalez had suggested that the incident should reside among the assorted ghosts from the past, emphasizing the importance of not letting historical issues dictate the present. Vice President Jagdeo, while speaking at a press conference yesterday, Thursday, said that Gonzalez's explanation was credible. The government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines will, for the fourth time, increase the minimum wages for public and private sector workers. The announcement was made by Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez while speaking on NBC Radio's Face-to-Face program. Following a 4-hour-long discussion on the draft wages regulations for 2023 held on Tuesday, the 2nd of January, Gonzalez outlined that the Wages Council said it hopes that when the adjustments are made, no one will get less than $50 a day. However, when the calculation was made for the 20% increase, some people were still falling below, which he said the council will have to go back to the drawing board on. Here is Dr. Gonzalez.
I think we're going to see a fairly reasonable jump. Some employers, particularly some people who employ domestics, some people who employ some people in the stores, in the retail distribution stores, some of them are going to say, some people who work at lawyers' office and doctors and other people and so on, some people are going to say that the increases which we are proposing, they're not yet final. Some are going to say that they're too high. But we have to take a strong line on equity, and we have to make sure that as we approach the first quarter, 21st century, that some of these things be altered.
That was Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonzalez. In the region, in Grenada, the government on Thursday barred all media representatives from covering the swearing-in ceremony of new cabinet ministers. In a statement on its Facebook page following the stance taken by the government, the Media Workers Association of Grenada, MWAG, strongly condemned the decision, calling it, quote, a dangerous new law, unquote, in the government's treatment of the independent press. The association said it condemns the government of Grenada's decision to block journalists and reporters from covering this ceremony, where instruments of appointment were presented to new ministers of government as a result of cabinet reshuffle. The statement issued by MWAG after the ceremony was held at the office of the Governor General on Thursday, the 4th of January, says it is the first time in modern history in Grenada, or in the modern history of Grenada, that a government has barred coverage of independent press of the swearing-in of members of the Cabinet of Ministers, treating it as if it is their private function. The organization further said it is total contempt for the local media and, by extension, the people of the country by completely barring reporters and photographers from the swearing-in of new cabinet ministers yesterday, the 4th of January. The Bahamas Central Bank has indicated that it is relaxing the guidelines for domestic banks and credit unions on the minimum equity injection requirement for residential mortgages. The central bank was quoted as saying by Caribbean Loop News that it is not anticipated to have a significant impact on personal lending. It should reduce the cost burden for suitably qualified borrowers and allow some additional individuals to qualify for credit. The central bank said that in the absence of the insurance, the minimum down payment for such mortgages was 15%. It also noted that it would continue to monitor the impact of credit trends on the outlook for the external reserves and domestic financial stability. Finally, in the news and on the international scene, North Korea has fired more than 200 rounds of artillery shells off its west coast towards the south. The BBC said South Korea ordered civilians to seek shelter on the island before holding live fire drills of its own. In 2010, North Korean artillery fired scores of times, killing 4 people. According to the BBC, the artillery shells fired did not enter South Korean territory as they all landed in the buffer zone between the two countries. This brings us to the end of WEFM's 3 p.m. news for today, Friday, the 5th of January. My name is Nerissa. Thank you for listening. Do join us at 5:30 for our next major newscast.